Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have a really big, important, now brand new update when it comes to this big controversy that's blowing up all throughout the internet itself. And this is regards now to the PlayStation 5 potentially being broken by you using it in the vertical segment. Now, I actually did make a video on this a few days ago, so if you guys were a part of that video or whatever, thank you guys so much for watching. It actually did pretty good up in the YouTube algorithm, so this will actually even get views as of right this second. So clearly, this is a pretty big issue and pretty big controversy that a lot of folks are wanting to find more information on. So we actually did have a little bit more of a follow-up from the same initial story that did actually go in and confirm that we have been seeing this issue still as a pretty big, widespread kind of, flow on number one, people who have been utilizing the console itself in terms of using it in a vertical actual manner, and basically how the melting of the liquids and stuff like that do affect it. But as well, we're also now apparently seeing issues where it's whatever the console itself is literally shipped or stored in that same upright vertical position on occasion does also cause these major issues. Now, preemptively, before I give you guys more details, because I want you guys to be aware, because I obviously don't want you guys losing $500 or having to go deal with Sony support, or if you're outside of the warranty too, that also may mean that you may be completely out of luck. So just letting you guys know, this is still a niche fringe case where it's not in every single console. I have had my own console since launch on vertical, and it is fine, although I'm probably going to be switching my console to horizontal until we actually get an official statement from Sony or Sony support. But I just want to let you guys know that some folks have been obviously fine, and as well, sometimes this actually might just be a proper design flaw, not just from the actual use of the console going vertical, but just from bad shipping or bumping or things cracking and stuff like that. So this is actually seeming like a big confirmed issue, because ever since this became more widespread, I actually even had a few articles even mentioning my own video too, which is very cool. And also a lot of you guys subscribing too as well. So thank you if you guys subbed. I'd love to have you guys sub for more PS5 news and gaming news as well. But it seems like this has been more of a wider spread issue than we've had a chance to see. We've seen more people chiming in. We've had a few people also in YouTube comments go and mention that their own console had a similar issue. And even one person also broke their console apart about a year ago and said they had the same issue. They didn't know what happened with it, and they sent to Sony support, and they just end up sending them a brand new console. So this does seem like this has been a long-term and wider spread effect. And let me go give you guys the updates too as well. Like I said, if you guys want to subscribe, we'd love to have you guys over here, do a lot of console news, gaming news, and all that. And as well, if you guys want to follow Twitter, Twitch, you're going to check out the Amazon links down below for consoles. Feel free to. But like I said, this has been a little bit more widespread than we kind of thought. We have another update now over here from Wooloo talking about the PlayStation 5 liquid metal issues, people addressing comments, and also once again reconfirming that this is a proper issue. Now, some folks were actually assuming this wasn't as big as people were expecting, but like I said, with the huge there was thousands upon thousands of people who watched the original video, and there is a lot more folks out there than not who did say this was an issue. And also, like I said, other people have also chimed on in. So kind of going off the article itself, they said they didn't really expect a lot of the reporting, which I will give the Wooloo credit. They were the original folks that I used as my reference for that video itself too. So it's a double whammy for that one. So basically, when it comes to this type of stuff, there was the vertical PS5 of Doom, where there's this liquid metal problems, and essentially it's you have these internal cooling loops. They would end up breaking or cracking, or if it was basically held into really wrong spots, it'd basically kind of cool and maybe potentially leak out into your CPU, APU, the operating system itself inside the console in general. Some folks are just calling it skeptical. Some people are saying that's not the usual thing. Some people are also kind of comparing this to consoles, consoles and PCs, and kind of doing the intermix between them. But it does seem like this is a pretty common issue. Now, common in the fact of it's 0.01 or 0.001%, but also factor in 30 million consoles nationwide, and also some may be unreported or not through repair shops, etc., etc. That was a longer kind of intro for this video, but give you guys a little bit more back context with this. So we've been seeing a lot of folks out here even going and giving a share of weird comments over the past few days. People were attacking integrity. I think even had a few comments on my own self. I'm more so just kind of sharing the news for you guys too. So they don't have a chance to have a proper response over here from the coder who did a lot of the actual review shop and stuff like that, and Logic68, who is also kind of pretty much interviewed by the French magazines. So it's the PlayStation 5 liquid metal leak update. Bottom line, they actually are consistent in sticking to their words that this is a proper big issue. But they also mentioned how I mentioned at the start of the video. They're not really sure on how widespread this issue is, or they're not sure if over a year or 2 years, because we haven't had proper unit testing, if this will be something that'll be affecting even more consoles over time. But as of right now, they are saying this is a confirmed issue that has been being spread around, and they have had many instances where they had to go and fix this, which is why they came forward in the first place. They also kind of have the same kind of umph, and I'm agreeing on this one, that Sony and PlayStation themselves should make an official outward statement to go let people know if it's still okay to use your consoles vertical, if it's like an issue or something you have to address, or they'll be changing in the near future, because there is 3 different console iterations. They also explained precisely that they think the design flaw is that allows the liquid metal to spill and then possibly damage the motherboards was basically that the PS5 has 2 mechanisms to prevent this liquid metal from then spilling. Some tape and protective covers to protect the components around the APU, as well as a piece of foam to then prevent it from spilling into other parts of the motherboard itself, which you guys can maybe use as a reference on over here, right above there. As you guys can kind of see, basically has like the double whammy. And that's why I think it might have this weird kind of struggle of like switching from vertical to horizontal, or even through shipping. Because obviously if you're shipping your consoles, people are picking them up, moving them around, placing them everywhere. You're like, put it at a doorstep, Amazon box or whatever. If it's either maybe outside in the cold or outside in the really big warm, or just maybe kind of goes and cracks. Kind of like a normal thing with, say, a phone. Like that's just kind of commonplace. If you get unlucky, even on shipping, sometimes things just do end up being broken. Like it may be a very fringe case, but it does actually happen. So I wonder what conditions the liquid metal spills is still a bit unclear, and they have to do a little bit more of a deeper dive in looking into it, but it is hands down experience of these repair shops that it does confirm spill, and that these 2 protection mechanisms are not working as efficiently as they should, or if all. And when it does spill, if your PS5 happens to be standing vertically, it can spill even more, and then further onto your motherboard as a simple result of gravity, adding to the risk of liquid metal is highly conductive and can cause short circuits. So the bigger issue with this, you guys can maybe kind of see. I mean, these pictures maybe go and highlight this really, really well. If you have this and it's standing vertically, this is like, I think, the big issue, that basically just due to gravity, if it's like leaking on out, the foam may not go and properly protect it. I think this is almost like the perfect picture to go and showcase on this one, where you guys can see how like it's going, since it's vertical, it's seeping on down. So it's all into like this goo over here, but even just looking through the foam, which should in theory be a protective layer. So imagine this on a horizontal, okay? If you have a horizontal line, the actual liquid metal would just stay on it on a flat plane like this. Like it wouldn't go and fall down, it wouldn't seep over, and then the foam would kind of collect it, kind of like a rag. But the bigger issue is that if it's vertical, as we're showing you guys in these photos, it may actually go and seep out. Like probably I think the best example is literally this spot right here, or even these spots right here. Let me do a little bit of a better zoom in for you guys. This is my CSI Miami, where you guys can see the actual liquid metal itself is literally right here. And you can see how it even also kind of tapers into this. And you can literally see, I believe, the liquid metal over here, or you guys can see on the left side, how basically if it kind of pulls and then it kind of goes and seeps out into the actual liquid itself. And now this is actually on the motherboard and other various electronic parts on the console. Maybe another good example too is on this one, where it just is absolutely brutally just everywhere and shattered and like just goo everywhere. You guys will kind of see like the leak over here on the bottom itself. And it kind of makes sense. It's just pretty much just simple gravity is the reason why, if it's like just a lot of these small niche issues that are just not efficiently being protected, is seeping on out. And I think that's the perfect example. Like think like a water plane versus a waterfall. Waterfall is going to go down. If it's on a plane though, it's going to be consistent. I hope those are good enough metaphors, but I think this is probably a good way to go show that as well. So the coder maintains he has seen this issues even on consoles that are previously unopened, in-box PlayStation 5s. He acknowledges, though, and I do kind of agree, cannot 100% certify that these consoles have been handled properly, so this could just also be like a, just a general shipping issue with like Amazon or a Target or whatever. And as well, this also might just be a niche case, because it's obviously not impacting everyone. It did not impact me, but with me making that video and it kind of going somewhat viral and all these other discussions kind of going viral too, it does seem to show that this is actually an issue. Like this is actually confirmed ongoing, and other people have been chiming on in, and other repair shops as well, since this initially came out, have also confirmed this. So they're also saying is how widespread this actually is. They're not really sure. He mentioned his overall is dealing with the small volume of consoles, which is good. That doesn't mean it's not an issue. It just means it may not be affecting quite literally everyone, which is good to see. We don't want this to be like a mass recall situation. So that he cannot judge on the actual share of impacted devices on a wide scale, but what he's seen is a proportionally important share in his own test. In other words, it's possible that it's a small share of PS5s are impacted by the issue, and when a PS5 has a hardware problem, it is often related then to this liquid metal issue. To this point, he adds that it's pretty much becoming a first check if we get a no power situation. And that's kind of enough of an issue where it's being seemingly widespread, and if that's like the very first thing you check, it's kind of like if you're an IT guy. The very first issue, did you close it and restart it? Did you restart your computer? And then you kind of go for the next few steps afterwards. And the fact that they're saying that's one of the first things they look for and it's breaking their consoles is horrible to see. Logic also did go and say, I'm witnessing that liquid metal has killed a few PS5s. It's causing issues for others and will keep impacting as time goes on even more consoles. He adds, as soon as I open it, basically from this one, I know if it's been sitting vertically based on the location, based on if there's any liquid metal or anything else with this. Now, some folks have been concerned saying, is this a fake issue? It might just be a little bit more of a survivor bias. So they go and say, in response to people who deny the issues exist, and I saw a few naysayers myself, I'm just reporting on the news, I'm not the actual people who are fixing these consoles myself. I had my console vertically because I thought it looked nicer, so this is something I would maybe put it horizontally because I don't want to sell out another $600 on a brand new console, factoring tax. So the coder basically calls out the survivor bias from commentators, and I'll agree. So let's imagine for a minute that this is impacting 0.1% of PS5 owners, which is a completely hypothetical number again as well. You have a 99.9% chance of having no issues with your console, but it still means that there's over 30,000 plus consoles out there with this issue, which is small, but in theory is also big. And as well, some folks just assume it's not an issue, or they send it to Sony or do returns or whatever, which would also impact the numbers too. Console manufacturing history is littered with design issues or cost-cut measures that also have caused damage to consoles over time. It's interesting that so many people find it hard to imagine that it could happen to even this generation of consoles. And I agree, even if it's only for a small percentage of people, this does seem like based on more of a widespread response of not just this source, other people out there as well, that this is an ongoing long-term issue, and this also could ramp up over time. Because don't forget, these things can change, or what if you drop your console? Now, I'd probably say the more issues you drop in your console, but some folks would say, well, the issue is that the internal hardware, as you dropped it, may have messed around with the liquid metal or cracked it, and that may have also been a Sony design issue. At least in my opinion, kind of depends on how you look at it. So it's very crazy to see because some of these issues are also saying, some repair shops have been calling on the issue for months. So it's not just a widespread thing that's happening this week for clicks. It's been ongoing as we've done more research. And like I mentioned, I've seen people reach out to me also stating they have had this issue happen to them before. So it's very intriguing because this actually might be something that's a bigger issue or may also turn into a bigger issue than we're all expecting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. And as well, if you guys are new, make sure you guys are subscribed. If you guys want more updates on this one, make sure you guys maybe put your consoles in horizontal mode just to be safe for now. And well, just be careful. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow or say hi. We also have the Target and Amazon links too. And I appreciate you guys all so much here for watching in the first place. And give me your thoughts and comments down below.